Good day, everyone. I am Jemuel S. Doctolero. I'm a PhD student from the Department of Forestry and Natural Resources at Purdue University, and today I will be discussing Introduction to Aquaculture. The objectives of this presentation are to explain the definition of aquaculture and to familiarize the different ideas, concepts, and areas scoped by aquaculture. So, before we understand the principles and ideas scoped by this course, it is just necessary that we should first determine its definition. So, according to FAO, or Food Agriculture Organization, aquaculture is defined as the farming of aquatic organisms, including fish, mollusks, crustaceans, and aquatic plants. Farming implies some form of intervention in the rearing process to enhance production, such as regular stocking, feeding, protection from predators, and so on. Another definition stated that aquaculture is the farming of aquatic animals or plants, including breeding, raising, and harvesting in all types of water environments in controlled conditions. It is used to produce food and commercial products, restore and create healthier habitats, and rebuild threatened or endangered species populations. Now let's take a moment to reflect on this well-known quote. Give me a fish and I eat for a day. Teach me how to fish and I will eat for a lifetime. It's simple yet powerful quotation about the value of education, self-sufficiency, and long-term solutions. Now let's relate this to aquaculture. So for this activity, I want you to reflect and write a short response to this question. How does this code relate to aquaculture and its role in food security and sustainability? You can pause this video now and jot down your thoughts. And think about beyond fish farming. Think about education, community empowerment, and environmental impact. So later in this video, I'll share a few sample ideas, but your perspective is what really matters. So after giving student time to reflect, I'd love to hear your own thoughts on this, so you can share them in discussion board or class chat. So for my own perspective on this quotation, this is a deep meaning of a proverb says that there is a direct influence of learning aquaculture and understanding its concept to human life. We play a significant role in our society that through understanding the concepts and principles of aquaculture and by integrating it through actual application, we can sustainably provide food to the tables of every families, even up to the next generations. So to further understand the definition of aquaculture, let us differentiate it to agriculture, in which these two fields play a vital role as a food sector, which are responsible on the provision of food for human consumption. So aquaculture or farming in water is the aquatic equivalent of agriculture or farming on land. Defined broadly, agriculture includes farming of both animals and plants. Similarly, aquaculture covers the farming of both animals such as fish and shellfish, and also plants such as seaweeds, microalgae, and freshwater microphytes. While agriculture is predominantly based on the use of fresh water, aquaculture occurs in both freshwater and coastal water resources such as brackish water and seawater. So after defining aquaculture, let us now determine what are the various groups of aquatic organisms that are primarily utilized in aquaculture. So first in line is fish. So I assume that we are all familiar in this group of aquatic animals, and definitely we already seen different fishes. So relating this in aquaculture, the farming of fish is the most common form of aquaculture. It involves raising fish commercially in man-made or natural environment from tanks, fish ponds, and even ocean enclosures. So this group of aquatic animal usually subjected for culture as a source of food. So worldwide, the most important fish species used in fish farming are tilapia and catfish, as shown in the slide, and even carp. And for temperate countries like the United States of America, the most common fish subjected for culture are channel catfish, rainbow trout, Atlantic salmon, and largemouth bass. Another aquatic organisms are aquatic plants. So aquatic plants are plants whose photosynthetically active parts are partially or permanently submerged in water or float on the surface of water. So aquatic plants can be divided based on their size. The first one is microalgae, or in other term microphytes. So microalgae or microphytes are microscopic algae typically found in freshwater and marine systems, living in both water column and sediment. So when we say microscopic, these species cannot be seen clearly by just using our naked eye. And so we need the aid of microscope or any magnifying materials to visually observe these aquatic organisms. So they are unicellular species which exist individually or in chains or groups. So the photos in this slide show some example of microalgae. Another classification of aquatic plants is macroalgae, or in other terms seaweed. So macroalgae or seaweed is a collective term used for seaweed and other benthic, which is attached to the bottom, marine algae that are generally visible to the naked eye. So larger macroalgae are also referred to as seaweeds, although they are not really weeds. Another groups of farm aquatic organisms are crustaceans. So these crustaceans form a large, diverse arthropod taxon, which includes aquatic animals such as shrimps, prawns, crabs, and other aquatic animals like lobster, crayfish, woodlice, and barnacles. So relating it to aquaculture, shrimp farming is an aquaculture venture that exists in either a marine or freshwater environment, producing shrimp or prawns, crustaceans for human consumption. Lastly, among the aquatic animals being cultured is mollusks. So these species are soft-bodied invertebrate of the phylum Mollusca, usually wholly or partially enclosed in a calcium carbonate shell, secreted by a soft mantle covering the body. So mollusks are usually cultivated in their natural habitat without any addition of feed. They are filter feeders in which they contribute in purifying water by removing sediments and unwanted nutrients. So most cultured molluscan species are bivalves, or those species having two connected shells. Aquaculture shellfish includes various oysters and mussels and other clam species. So now that we've explored what aquaculture is and why it matters, let's do a quick activity to get you thinking like an aquaculturist or aquaculture practitioner. Imagine you are starting your own aquaculture farm. You have access to land, water, and basic technology. Your goal is to contribute to food security and environmental sustainability. So here's the question. If you could farm any aquatic species, what would it be and why? So you may reflect what are the advantages of your choice, how does it meet your goals, and what challenges might you face. So take a moment to reflect and jot down your answer. Then we will share our ideas later on and see how diverse and creative your farm choices are. So now that we've already defined aquaculture and the aquatic organisms involved in the aquaculture, and you already somehow planned your own aquaculture farm, let us now proceed in discussing the objectives of aquaculture. So in any field, especially those that are considered food sector, there are always objectives for its continuous production. And aquaculture also has these objectives why it is continuously running as one of the major sector in fisheries industry. First, and I believe the most important objective is the production of protein-rich, nutritive, palatable, and easily digestible human food, benefiting the whole society through plentiful food supplies at low or reasonable cost. So aquaculture is considered fastest growing food sector that provide highly nutritious food. Primarily in every production of aquaculture, the end product is usually as a source of food, whether that be live food from harvested finfish and shellfish, or processed fisheries products, which will then be converted to different form of cuisines and recipes. So through this, human would be able to acquire nutrients, especially high level of protein, which is very much present in majority of aquaculture products in terms of their flesh content. So through this objective, sustainable food for human consumption will always be secured even for the next generations. Another objective is providing means of sustenance and earning livelihood and monetary profit through commercial and industrial aquaculture. Through the various ventures of aquaculture, this create a venue for livelihood to people as these ventures require manpower, for example, farm manager, farm technician, and laborers for aquaculture farms, and even fish processor for the different processed fish products. Another objective is the production of ornamental fish for aesthetic appeal. So this objective primarily for those ornamental fish hobbyists. Ornamental fish culture scopes the process of rearing fish that are usually colorful and provide attractive physical attributes. So these ornamental fish provide beautification as widely placed in offices, garden, or even present in our home. So beside of rearing of fish as a source of food, this objective of aquaculture is considered as source of visual satisfaction to us human. Another objective is the utilization of land and aquatic resources. So, in order for us to maximize our land and aquatic resources, which are naturally present in our environment, we are given an option in converting it to various aquaculture ventures like constructing fish fund facilities or even starting a cage farm venture in lakes or seas. However, we as aquaculturists, we have an obligation of using this land and aquatic resources efficiently and sustainably, making sure that these resources will not deteriorate. Another objective is the production of sport fish and support to recreational fishing and the production of bait fish for commercial and sport fishery. Usually, this is for the developed countries where sport fisheries is very much prevalent. So those people engaged in sport fisheries usually intend to increase the fish stock through aquaculture, and that will be then used for recreational purposes like what you have seen in the slide. Another objective is recycling of organic waste of human and livestock origin. So one of the initiatives of aquaculture is to pursue organic farming, that human and livestock waste are considered as organic fertilizer, which also vital in the principles of aquaculture relating to productivity. And now let us now proceed to the production objectives of aquaculture, which will give you an idea why there is continuous aquaculture production through continuous rearing of different aquaculture species, and what are the end products of this production that originate from the different aquaculture ventures. So, production objective of aquaculture includes the industrial products. Example is agar and alginate. So this product is through the aquaculture venture of seaweed production. Some of the industrial products like gelatinized base food, and even in the cosmetic industry like makeup products. This requires ingredients originated from seaweeds. And so aquaculture of seaweed is considered as one of the top aquaculture ventures through the production of agar and alginate, which are needed for cosmetics and food industry. So just imagine a world without seaweed aquaculture is like world without makeups. Another production objective of aquaculture is the formulation of pharmaceutical and nutraceutical products. A number of pharmaceutical products are usually originated from aquaculture ventures. To name one is the chlorella. So chlorella is a kind of microalgae that are also cultured for pharmaceutical purposes, as this microalgae is considered as growth promoter. Have you encountered the term chlorella growth factor, which are usually used as one of the component of food supplements for children? And there are numbers of different aquaculture products that are proven effective in aiding some illnesses and can also provide health benefits. Another production objective is the production of gemstone. So aquaculture products are not only for industrial and pharmaceutical purposes, but also scope the production of gemstones. For example, is the culture of pearl oyster, which through detailed rearing process, it will generate cultured freshwater pearls that are commercially important in jewelry industry. As mentioned earlier, another production objective is the augmentation of wild stocks to enhance their population and for conservation, which conserve wildlife in the natural environment and will then be used for recreational and sport fisheries. As also mentioned earlier, another production objective is the production of ornamental fish, which are usually used for aesthetic purposes and visual satisfaction. Another production objective is food and feed components for the early development stages of cultured fish and vertebrates, such as phytoplankton and zooplankton. So this aquaculture production is usually interconnected to those ventures engaged in hatchery of cultured species that will then be subjected for grow-out production. For example, is the brine shrimp, which is an aquaculture product that are also used as a source of nutrition on the hatchery of other commercially important and high valued species for their larval development. So this concludes my presentation and thank you for listening. I hope you'll be able to acquire necessary information about aquaculture. Good day.